Don't cry, Mommy. Maybe that man will help us. The little girl pointed to a millionaire stranger. The rain fell in unforgiving sheets, the kind that made the world look blurred and exhausted, as if even the sky had run out of hope. On the edge of a dimly lit street in a quiet town in the United States, a young mother named Emily Carter sat slumped on a bus stop bench, soaked to the skin, her trembling hands wrapped around her thin arms in a desperate attempt to stay warm. Beside her, her little daughter Lily, barely 4 years old, clutched a damp teddy bear and tried to shield her mother from the rain with her tiny hands. Emily's breaths were shaky, uneven, and every now and then her chest tightened with the suffocating weight of everything she had lost. Her eyes were red from crying, her lips pale, and the world around her felt as though it were closing in, until Lily tugged at her sleeve, her voice small but filled with fragile hope. Don't cry, Mommy. Maybe that man will help us. Before Emily could lift her head, Lily pointed with her tiny finger toward a tall man stepping out of a sleek black luxury car parked a few steps away. The headlights cut through the rain like a spotlight in a dark theater, illuminating the man's figure, a sharply dressed stranger in a navy suit, his hair slicked back by the rain, his expression unreadable yet softened by something unfamiliar, concern. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps us continue bringing meaningful stories to you. Emily didn't want to look. She didn't want to hope. Hope had betrayed her too many times. Hope had walked out when her husband abandoned her. Hope had laughed in her face when she lost her job. Hope had evaporated the day she had been evicted from their small apartment because she couldn't keep up with rent. This bus stop, on this cold rainy evening, was the last place she imagined she would be, hungry, exhausted, and with nowhere to go. Yet Lily tugged again, whispering, Mommy, he looks nice. With a painful effort, Emily lifted her tired eyes. The man stood tall and elegant in the rain, bending slightly toward Lily, his eyebrows drawn together as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing, a child alone in the storm while her mother seemed on the verge of collapse. His suit was soaked through, but he didn't seem to care. Instead, he stared at them both, not with pity but with a strange sense of urgency, as though something inside him recognized something inside them. The man was Andrew Hale, a well-known millionaire in town, the kind people whispered about. Some said he was cold, distant, consumed by business. Others said he was brilliant but broken, living alone in his large empty mansion after having lost both his parents years ago. He was a man wrapped in success on the outside, but hollow on the inside. Money had given him power, but it had never given him warmth. Until now, standing in the rain before a little girl whose teary eyes seemed to ask him silently, Please don't walk away. Emily tried to pull Lily closer, embarrassed, frightened, unsure of what this stranger wanted. Her instinct was to protect her daughter at all costs. But her body was shaking from cold and hunger, and she felt weaker than she had ever felt in her life. She whispered, Lily, come here, baby, but the child didn't move. Instead, she took a hesitant step toward the man, her innocence shielding her from the fear that consumed her mother. Andrew lowered himself to Lily's level, rain dripping from his hair as he studied her small face. She was shivering, her dress soaked, her cheeks flushed from the cold. In her hands she held a worn-out teddy bear, its fur matted with rainwater. The look on her face made something old and aching stir deep inside him, a memory of himself as a child, scared, alone, and waiting for someone who never came. He spoke gently, though his voice carried a weight Emily instantly felt in her bones. Are you two okay? Emily wanted to say yes. She wanted to say they were fine. She wanted to stand up, hold Lily's hand, and walk away so she wouldn't have to explain how far she had fallen. But she couldn't speak. Her throat was tight, and tears were already spilling down her cheeks before she could stop them. Lily looked up at the stranger and whispered, Mommy is sick, and we don't have a home anymore. Emily covered her mouth, ashamed, shaken, broken by the truth coming from her daughter's tiny voice. But Andrew didn't look disgusted, and he didn't look impatient. He just exhaled slowly, his expression shifting into something unexpectedly protective. The rain poured harder, as if the world itself demanded an answer from him. Andrew straightened, shrugged off his jacket despite the downpour, and placed it around Emily's shoulders. She flinched at the softness and unfamiliar warmth of it. His hands were gentle, careful, as though she were made of something fragile. He didn't know them. He didn't owe them anything. But in that moment, something stronger than logic tugged at him, a pull he didn't understand but couldn't ignore. He reached out, and Lily slipped her tiny hand into his as if she had always known him. Emily stared, trembling, disbelief washing over her. Why was he helping? Why them? He didn't offer empty words or pity. Instead, without hesitation, he said, "Let me take you both somewhere safe." The invitation hung in the air, frightening and comforting all at once. Emily wanted to refuse, fearful of the unknown, fearful of trusting again, but Lily's hand squeezed hers, and for the first time in a long while, Emily felt something warmer than despair, a spark of possibility. Andrew helped them into the warm car. Emily's heart pounded as she realized how surreal this moment was, from the cold bus stop to the heated leather seats, from hopelessness to a flicker of light. Lily curled into her mother's lap, clutching the teddy bear, her eyes drooping from exhaustion. Emily whispered to Andrew, her voice fragile, why are you doing this?" He didn't answer immediately. His jaw tightened, his gaze fixed ahead, but when he finally spoke, his voice had a depth Emily felt in her chest. "Because someone should have helped me once," he murmured. But no one did. The drive to Andrew's mansion was quiet except for the hum of the engine and the rhythm of the rain. Emily couldn't stop her tears, not from sadness anymore, but from the overwhelming confusion of being shown kindness after life had only shown her cruelty. Inside the warm mansion, Andrew called a doctor he knew personally, who arrived quickly to examine Emily. She was severely exhausted, dehydrated, and weak from days without proper food. Lily refused to leave her mother's side, but Andrew brought her warm milk and a blanket, staying close in case she needed anything. For the first time in months, Emily and Lily slept in warmth and safety. That night, Andrew sat alone in his office, staring out the window as rain streaked across the glass. He didn't know why he felt so drawn to them, but something about their presence made the house feel less empty. For years, his wealth had been meaningless, his days robotic. But the image of Lily holding his hand, and the quiet thankfulness in Emily's exhausted eyes, kept replaying in his mind. The following days brought small but meaningful changes. Emily slowly regained strength. Lily warmed up to Andrew, giggling whenever he brought her little snacks or showed her the garden. Andrew found himself smiling, genuinely, something he hadn't done in years. But as Emily grew stronger, so did her guilt. She didn't belong in a millionaire's house. She didn't want to be a burden. She began telling herself she needed to leave soon, find work, rebuild her life on her own terms. Yet every time she looked at Lily's bright eyes and heard her laughter filling the halls, her heart tightened with confusion. And every time she looked at Andrew, catching him watching them with quiet softness, she felt something unfamiliar, something like safety. But safety scared her. One evening, as the sun set in warm streaks of orange over the estate, Emily stepped outside, gripping her hands together. She needed to talk to Andrew. To thank him. To tell him they couldn't stay forever. But before she could speak, Andrew asked gently, "Are you planning to leave?" She inhaled sharply. "We've already stayed too long. I don't want to take advantage of your kindness." Andrew looked at her with an expression she didn't understand. "I didn't help you because I expected something in return. I helped you because I haven't cared about anything in years. And now I do." Emily's breath caught, and for the first time, she saw the vulnerability behind his composed exterior. He had saved them, but they had saved something inside him too. But before she could respond, Lily ran outside, holding her teddy bear and shouting, "Mommy, look! Miss